You know, I love me some tea, man.
It's got that harsh undertones. Might need a little bit of honey just to sweeten it up, but I don't mind it like that.
Sip away.
It
It has been in there for like 10 minutes. The bag.
Yeah,
it's probably getting a bit to the.
This is getting like to the intensity.
I've had a tea that tastes like that before. Something similar.
Yeah, so it's a bit like dirt. But
You know, it tastes like the mud of a Greek coffee. Dean's been talking up this tea like it's the greatest tea ever.
Best tea ever,
it's
man.
pretty nice, man.
anyway,
It should be illegal.
Hello, fellow AFL enjoyers. We're back for round 2 talk.
I'm back, boys.
Yeah, we're back, and Dino's back. He's back from Sydney, back from his scouting mission.
You find
I
anything
can
for us,
give my
man?
notes now or later during the Sydney segment. What do you want?
No, we'll wait for the Sydney segment.
Yeah. I've got some stuff to say, so there is an update.
Okay,
so
that's good, man.
we'll,
I like that.
We'll get to it when we get to it.
Nah, but look, this was a pretty fun little round for Dino and I, at least. For Georgie, not quite so much.
All these Carlton games on Thursday and Friday, man. I don't even get a chance at a good weekend, man.
Oh, man.
My weekend is over by Thursday night.
Must be a long.
You
weekend.
guys get a chance at happiness, man. Mine's like over.
You see St Kilda fans happy, North fans happy. You're like, what? Is this the Twilight Zone? What's happening here?
It's a bit like that, isn't it?
Crazy.
Legit. But look, Thursday night, that was, look, it was an expected result. Let's be fair. Like, I don't think anyone thought that Carlton were beating the Hawks.
I actually had the Hawks by more.
Yeah, same.
It was wet though, so
Slowed the game
I think that
down.
affected the scoring ability of both teams.
How did you see it, George?
You know what annoyed me, man? Other than the fact that we lost, I kept hearing, because I didn't watch this game live, and only after we lost, I looked at a couple of little highlights and bits and pieces to get the gist of it all. But the thing that annoyed me is I was listening to some of the broadcast, and they're like, "It's just Carlton's just been outclassed. It's just a class difference." And I'm like, "Wait a second, we've been rebuilding for 10 years. Why is there a class difference? Why is no one bringing up that? How can it be a class difference?" We've had 100 draft picks.
Look,
why is it a class difference, man? Like, what? That was just like slamming me in the face. Class. Wait a second. Why don't we have class? Why do they have class? Is it because they prioritize class? Is it because all of our draft picks have failed? Where are you, Paddy Dow, O'Brien, Sam Patricia-Seaton, whoever else sucks
Stocker.
and is gone? Stocker that we traded up for?
See, and last week on the pod, Matza posed the question on behalf of me, and I was listening to the pod. I was really happy the way Matza asked the question, very, very much exactly how I would have asked it. Basically, the gist of it was, what made you and some other Carlton fans think top 4 was on the agenda? Now, you did answer. I'll just say, your answer was okay, but I feel like there was this sort of anger at the class thing. It wasn't quite there. Like, for me, I look at the record from last year. I think there's a stat flying around like you're 2-12 in the last 14 games or whatever it is, right? And the 2 wins are against poor opposition.
Yeah, North and West Coast.
North and West Coast. There you go. The bottom 2 teams of last year. Besides Richmond, bottom 3 teams. So the question really is, just that again, I'll ask her, what have you recruited? What have you done in the last few years to suggest that that's the gap in the team to fill? Other than, say, like a Chera, he was a classy addition. There's not really anyone else, man.
No, but it's not that, because with context, right, everything becomes clearer, right? And Carlton's injuries to the second half of the year were atrocious, right? So you can't, and we still made finals, just scraped by the skin of our teeth, and it was a poor end to the season. But you kind of think optimistically about it all, right? So only with more information, but it's only round 2, and there are a couple of teams that have already been found out. I mean, I think we'll talk about Essendon later, but Carlton for this segment. The biggest issue I've got, and the reason that it's kind of I talk about being depressed and devastated, is because it's not that we lost the game. It's that I don't really see much of it. It's everything's kind of come to light now. The thing is we've talked a bit about the way Carlton's game style has been played over the last couple of years, and how we've moved a little bit more to a transition game, and scoring from your back half, not your forward half, right? And I remember in the first season of this podcast a couple of years ago, I remember talking about Sam Mitchell and hearing something even earlier than that. So this is like 4 or 5 years ago now, about him talking about the way he's going to set up his team. And he's like, I want to see how the game's going to be played soon, and I want to be playing that game style. And by the time everyone realizes that's the game style, we'll have already mastered it. He's literally done that.
He's done it.
He's done it. Look at them skyrocket, and look, they're probably the best team in the competition.
And it was in stages in those first few years. Like, they'd have a sick quarter against the Ds. Like, they'll be down 40, and then they'll come back and like they're only down a few goals. Like they have a 7-goal quarter, but
Yeah.
they couldn't sustain it.
That's right.
And now they are sustaining it.
That's right. And now they've got all this elite talent that plays the system perfectly. So then you contrast that to the other teams in the comp, and there's plenty of teams like this, but Carlton's the main one, that play an old game style. And what's so fascinating about the commentary around Carlton is the fact that the commentators, the experts, right, they never talked about Carlton like this. They've only talked about it in the first round and second round of this year, where suddenly, they play an old game style. It's like it's almost clicked to everyone. And we kind of knew that. I've always known that Carlton's game style makes it seem like it's harder than it is, right? And I feel like players have to work so damn hard to Carlton to just perform at a normal level. So when that pays off and they're playing that really hard-assed, aggressive football, they can make them look really, really good where they blow teams apart. But the thing is it's so hard to sustain. And the interesting thing is which team plays exactly like Carlton. There's one team that plays a very similar brand to Carlton, right? That's Melbourne. Now, Melbourne are a forward-half team, big contested, bullish team with seasoned bodies. And how many years have we talked about the narrative of so many inside 50s inefficient in front of goal? How many inside 50s inefficient? Carlton is the exact same team. And how many times over the last couple of years have we talked about Melbourne not being able to capitalise on their talent? Out top 4, out in straight sets both years. They won one flag. They got the flag, right? But we always thought, man, that team seems like it was capable of more than one flag. They got it through that game style, but just in a compromised year, and now they've kind of fallen off, right? So what I'm saying is Carlton plays that kind of game style. That's why Melbourne and Carlton games are so close, but the Carlton is not going to make it because the game has changed. Melbourne got that slot of playing that game style, and they made it. Remember the grand final where Oliver and Petrarca and their midfield, Luke Jackson midfield, kicked 3 goals in 30 seconds. It's just power. They made it happen. But no team's going to make it happen playing like that anymore. And Melbourne's been caught, and it's clear that they've changed, but they've got a couple of young players that are coming in and they're rebuilding on the fly. Carlton has almost doubled down on this game style, and they're miles away, man. And it's just become so clear. You look at the way they play, and it's just like so contested, and everything's under pressure, and they have no way to get the ball moving, and they look like headless chooks. And it's like the plan B of Carlton when plan A doesn't work is to try harder. That's not your plan B, man. There's got to be, the teams have to find a way to be able to score and keep the game ticking, and then go, all right, now it's time to go and go. It can't, if it's all full-fledged 100, of course in the last quarter they're going to get blown away. And of course half the team's going to be injured by round 3 because they're just playing bullish football. That's not the way to do it.
And at your best last year and the year before in spurts, I remember you saying on the pod many times like it was a brutal effort. Midfield was brutal, really aggressive, which that's the game style, right? It's just outwork, be stronger. Like you've got some really intense plays in the team, like physical brutes, like Cripper, Wadering, Kerno, Mackay. These guys are big boys. Like,
they're big boys.
Not many teams have that
TDK
top end.
as well.
TDK, big boy. Like even your ruckman, like before TDK, like Pitternet,
True.
huge body when served the purpose for when you had him in, right?
Yeah.
So and Doherty when he's fit, he's a big boy.
Akers is a big boy. They're big guys,
So
but they lack class, man.
I hear your point, and that's the problem. Yeah, you like you said, you've doubled down on these kind of players, and you haven't really surrounded them with the outside class and so forth. Like an Ollie Hollands looks all right, but he's not got that full on class level. He's got that try hard factor. Gives it his all. He's probably a good clubman, but like
Bailey Scott type vibe.
Bailey Scott type vibe. Like you're not relying on him for that class on the outside. He's working hard and so forth.
Yeah. Look, we didn't know exactly. The last couple of games of the season were obviously a bit of a disaster, but half the team was out. So you didn't get a good idea of what's going on. But with losing to Richmond's unforgivable, as we talked about, and then, you see what Port Adelaide did to Richmond this round, and you're like, oh, that's what you meant to do to them, right? Like Carlton lost that game on their own boot just by panicking. It's honestly an unlosable game when they did it. And you go, how did they do that? And then you look at the Hawks, and it's not that Carlton disgraced themselves against the Hawks. It's just that they were never going to win that. And Carlton had to try so hard to score, and then D'Ambrosio would kick it to Sicily or something. Sicily would kick it to the forward line, and they kick a goal through the wizard in like 3 kicks. And it's like, well, look what they just did. Look how hard we've worked. We're deflated. We're finished. We're panting. And these guys have used their foot skills to get through your zone in 2 seconds. And it's like, all right, we're never going to... they're playing the right way. We're not.
Yeah.
So look, it's glaringly obvious to everyone. And then the thing that just annoys Carlton fans the most is the fact that Voss almost seems oblivious to it. Now, I'm sure he isn't oblivious to it. They obviously have more information than us. Maybe they know that Carlton can't play that game style because they don't have the finesse, so they've got to keep it contested. Or maybe they've just woken up to shit. We're not here. Oh no. But make no mistake, Carlton had expectations of top 4. They said it, and they're not even going to play finals. Current standard of their gameplay. So this is such a serious flop, and it's become obvious so quickly. And they might be able to turn it around. They might be able to, get their 9-10 wins, and it's just a nothing season. And then where do you go from there? That's why when I say, man, I hope they lose, is what I really mean is I want them to really understand where they're at. And if they are so far from the market, they need to understand it now. And it seems like they might be. Or maybe there's a couple of structural things that they do and they'll find their way, but I doubt it. I think when Carlton had that massive rise where they made the prelim, it was they had hit rock bottom and they just found a way to gel. And it was momentum and just pressure and team football that got them to a prelim because their best players were playing well, their worst players were playing well. It all clicked. But it hasn't clicked since then.
Yeah, I don't know. It's confidence a lot of the time in footy. Like, clearly those same group of players can do better.
Yes.
So something's not right.
It's just the way that they played then. It's like bomb it long, bomb it long, bomb it long. Like, no other team does that, man.
Yeah.
Well, Melbourne does it, right? Port does it a bit. Like these old kind of teams that have this old style play.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And the opposite style is Hawthorn, who, if we're being honest, weren't at their best. They weren't at their best last week either. And probably their best game was in round 0 against the Swans, where they were a lot more skillful. But what they have, and I've told my dad this, who, being a Hawthorn fan, like, he's always a bit more pessimistic, maybe a bit more reserved in his expectation. But he sort of gives like, yeah, Carlton was all right, like a bit of the pessimistic view. And I said, look, what you guys have that Carlton don't at the moment is that 100% confidence. Like, even if you're not at your best, it's just next go. And eventually they cracked you. It's only a couple goal win in the end. Like, they didn't blow you away like I thought they might have. But that confidence, I don't think the way Sam Mitchell coaches them and the characters they have, I don't think that's going to drop off too much. So they're going to basically be in every game, bar maybe an oddity here and there, which is good, really good for the Hawks fans, knowing your team's baseline is a lot better now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They don't even need to win clearances at all to be in games. Like, I'm looking at stats right now, 51 Carlton to 39 Hawks. It doesn't really matter if you don't win that. Like, it's cool because you have BRIS down back now and you have Battle down back, who completely stopped anything that Carlton had.
Unreal.
Key fought, from the big guys. And then all of a sudden the counter attack becomes easy because of the skills and the way that they play.
Yeah.
It's
clearance sometimes, like, it's a really good stat, but also that just proves it doesn't mean that much if it's a poor quality clearance.
Yeah.
And North's won a lot of clearance battles over the years, but we know what it looks like in real life is that it's just a hack kick forward that gets intercepted and it comes the other way. So it wasn't totally like that for the Blues, but
it was a bit like that, man.
Yeah.
It was a bit like that. They always look panicked and none of the midfielders have an ability to kind of work through the contest. And, Tom DeConning is amazing in clearance, but I feel like the Hawks did a good job of negating him. And then all they got to do is push Cripps away from his opponent so that he can't get a clean handball to them, and there's nothing left.
Or you just put Cripps in the ruck, apparently. That's a genius move.
Well, that's the other thing. But, yeah, it's just like it's so obvious. It's like coaches must be licking their lips coming up against Carlton. So obvious how to stop them. You may ask, like, what do we do from here? Well, I don't know, but I think some positional changes need to happen to get the balance of the team right. Even if some of these players are not as good as like some of the other players, but they're better in that position, I think they need to play those positions.
If you ask me what you guys need, honestly, I think it's just perfect opportunity this week coming up against the Dogs who don't have Liam Jones. You need Kerno in, you need Mackay in under the lid, no weather interference, and just get them kicking a couple bags. Maybe win, maybe not, but just that feeling of like what makes Carlton a good team, which is, let's be real, those two guys are incredible when they're on. You just need them two to kick a couple each.
Yeah.
Cripper get his 30. Just get that feeling again, and then who knows from there. You might not win because Dogs are doing all right at the moment. But just play football like you remember over the last few years.
I just want to watch them play proper football, yeah. I don't want to see this scrambly, panicked, kick it into the 50 to like motlop on 3 people thing. Like, I don't want to see that. That's just ridiculous. So surely
low
a whole professional organisation can come up with something better than that.
Yep.
No, that's fair.
I can't stand Voss with the positive attitude. There's no positive attitude when you've been rebuilding for 10 years.
Yeah, and I think
call it as it is, man. This guy talks in so much riddles. I listen to 10 minutes of him and I can't summarize even one word.
Wasn't he
Have
asked?
you listened to his vodka?
Wasn't he asked about the
No, not interested.
like running out games? And he's like, no, I think we ran our games pretty well.
Well, what I'm saying is, I think they're fit. I just think it's the game style that they play.
They're
that
all
kills
fit,
them.
of course they're fit, but
Yeah.
like you can't say like they ran out the game well. Like they ran out the game,
Yeah.
sure. It clearly
Yeah,
didn't
but
go well.
Yeah.
You got to understand the question properly, I guess.
I just
but-
wish he just said it how it is, man.
Yep.
And because he doesn't, it makes you think: does he know how it is?
yeah, he knows.
Yeah,
he knows.
yeah. Look, I think it's a tough balance. Like you're trying to keep the guys happy, and also I don't know. It's a tough balance as a coach. in that
Carlton
regard.
isn't giving their fans what they want, man. We just
Yeah.
want honesty,
No, fair enough.
not politics.
Yeah, that's fair.
What about the Hawks a little bit? John Newcomb, huge.
Yeah.
Jath,
Jath, yes.
very energetic.
Yes, and a guy I said this to you. Mini version of Will Day, Josh Ward, man.
Yeah,
Josh Ward, like you can see it, like even though he's a smaller midfielder, but he just has that little bit of sidestep, that decent little left foot kick. He's got I don't know what it is about him. I just think he's got that little bit of class. It's almost like I don't know who to really describe.
got the
him as, but-
composure.
Yeah.
He doesn't rush. He can take a step through traffic.
I think he's got a
little
bit of grunt as well.
Yeah.
He's coming on nicely. Then like they've also got Cam McKenzie that's come on nicely as well. So
He looks a bit stronger this year.
yeah,
Actually,
a
He took
couple of
few
them
overhead
early
marks.
draft
Yeah.
picks are actually coming along slowly, and they've been able to have time to develop naturally without all the pressure of them to carry the
Zero
whole team.
pressure has been on them.
Zero.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's the thing because John Newcomb, Will Day, Warple have all just sort of carried the load,
Yep.
And I think Newcomb needed to have a big game this one because Will Day, he's getting tagged every week and he's not really we're not getting full value out of him.
Yeah.
So it works out that Newcomb can bring the game.
The best thing about the Hawks is because of all their options, like this week Watson does well, Chol does well. Next week it'll be Bruce and Ginnivan. Another week it'll be someone else. They've really just got this even team that you can't really stop all of. Like Will Day didn't have an amazing game.
Yeah.
Next week he might. It's just so many contributors all over the field, which just means that they're a good team, really.
Yeah.
They don't rely on.
100%,
It's not like Sydney last year where they were relying on those core midfielders, for example, which makes them dangerous because you need to stop them all. You need to
that's
really
the thing.
dominate the entire field, not just a few players.
Yeah, the skills are so good. It's just, there's a lot going right with them at the minute.
3 and
I
zip.
think-
That's all you
yeah.
can ask for as a Hawks fan.
Yeah, no, I think are they flag favourites right now?
Probably, man.
They're up there. They're top 4 team.
Yeah,
100%.
No, 100% top 4 team. Should we move on? Footscray versus Collingwood.
Footscray, yeah, sure.
Footscray. Look, I'll be honest, I wasn't able to watch a hell of a lot of the game. Watched the replay. I did love the intro to the game, the fireworks, the montages of of the history of the club. I think they did it really well.
A lot of fans showed up too. Their record crowd. So well done to the fans.
Yeah, but but shame they couldn't get the result. But I think they went out there and they showed heart. They put in a good effort. They're missing players as well, obviously. So I think they can, the fans can be, proud of what they
Well,
of the performance.
100%. The story of the game was the umpiring. Like a few really horrid calls. The free kick count was like 14 to 30 something.
33 to 14.
33 to 14. And a lot of them were blatant bad calls, like deliberate out of bounds, and then it wasn't given the other way and so forth. So they're the ones that kill you. And when there's that much of a free kick discrepancy, one goal in it, like surely one of those free kicks has led to a goal that's cost you. So it's really harsh, to be honest. Pies played well. They fought hard as well.
Yeah.
But getting the rubber the green like that's just... Even the most loyal Pies fans I know are posting like...
I got
nah,
the same. Yeah.
the umpires were our number one player. Like they finally... You rarely get them humble. They're like, nah, we get it this time. So that kind of says it all, to be honest. But well done, man. Sam Darcy, dear Lord, like what a player he is, man.
Well, you mentioned it last week, Matthew. Like, I don't know what this is. This guy just a freak, or is he going to do this every week?
Let's see. I was saying, is Comben bad or is Darcy just
I think
the guy?
it proves he's that good. And I'm actually like in reflection, like I was way too harsh on Charlie Coleman. We'll get to that.
We were.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But
man,
no,
what a player.
He's just a player. Look, it's just there's no one with the physical makeup in the league in the key defender category that can stop him. Like I think to myself, I've said it a few times. Rory Lobb's got the length, but and obviously they play in the same team. But even then, he wouldn't have the foot speed or just the presence of mind to even match up with this guy. It's like Victor Wembanyama in the NBA.
And
it's just the size and the fluidity.
In the
as an
first
athlete.
quarter, like he's marking the ball at the highest point and then wheeling onto his left and just hitting someone on the lead lace out. Like he's a midfielder. he shouldn't be allowed to do both of those things.
No.
And then he's kicking for set shots with his right foot. You know, he's unreal skill level by foot as well for a man that tall. Hands, obviously the marking ability, and just IQ's through the roof. Like, he looks so calm out there. Unreal.
It's funny now because we look back at that draft now. Horn Francis, Darcy, and Dacos.
What a
And
draft.
honestly, like, who is the best now? You know, who would you take number one? Like, obviously Dacos is going to win Brownlows, and he's already won the premiership, which is cool. But like, Darcy's going to be, how many goals can this guy kick? You know, and how much impact is this dude single-handedly having? You know,
Yeah.
so it becomes a question.
He and Dacos are going to be the best key forward and mid, or at least like top two for this generation to come. So
Yeah, true, man.
you can't go wrong either way.
That draft blessed us. It really blessed us, man.
It was a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, full credit to the Dogs for their effort. Pies, you know, for me, they're a team that just is a full-on confidence team. They can move the ball really well, but then they can also just have patches in games where like they're getting overrun. I'm not sure what to make of them entirely.
I didn't think they looked very good, man. I thought they were riddled with errors, man. They were just fumbling, a lot of turnovers. I don't think they looked anywhere near their best. But watching the game, it kind of felt like they were always going to find a way. Like the Dogs were always kind of up against it. But they did have that moment with Frazier, or Freya, or however you say his name, where he was
boy.
Call him my boy. That's it.
Yeah.
he was running into goal after like a side bottom fumble, and he had like 4 dogs around him. And it's one of those ones where there's no obvious option to kick it to, and so you could either handball it off and give the responsibility to someone else, or you can just take it to yourself. And he took it on himself, and he kicked it outside 50 in a goal. That's kind of a sign of, you know, a really good player, I felt.
Yeah.
To kind of take it upon yourself, make it your moment, not get too scared. And obviously he's been playing really well the last couple of weeks, but that was kind of a moment that made me say, shit, this guy's actually kind of arrived as a player. So I thought he had a really good game. Bailey Dale was incredible. I mean, with no Caleb Daniel, Johannesson, Ed Richards off the half back line, this guy's just got it all to himself now, right? And he's proven his worth. Like, he's lethal. I mean, Liberatore has incredible game.
Ed Richards. Oh.
Ed Richards is a freak. So their senior players were standing up, and you know, we know that Bond has to come in, and a couple of other players are still to come with the Dogs. I think they're playing pretty good cohesive football, to be honest.
It's impressive how good like the midfield has been, even without Bond and Treloar. When you think of it, like, it's still Libba and now Ed Richards now, who's just elevated his game to know, to elite, just about. You know, and it's top line.
Yeah, I think it's also a really good opportunity for the Dogs to blood some younger players and give them experience. And it sounds like those type of players are taking that opportunity. So that only makes you a better club when those other players come in, because you get depth and you rely on more people, more spread.
Yeah, well, that's Sanders and Frazier, and then even the young fella Davidson. There was one play, like I don't know if it was in the 3rd or 4th quarter, where he did the little. You know that thing that footballers do. They're sort of dodging.
That was neat. That was neat.
That was So he so he's looking, you know, like he belongs at AFL level as well. Man, look, I think you got to be excited as a Doggy supporter. To be honest with you, we were unsure about them coming into the season. You know, I think it was because of injuries, because of Jamara, because of Liam Jones, Bont, Treloar, all that stuff. But they've acquitted themselves very.
And I wasn't on the pod last week to reflect on the North game, but they blew us away to start the game.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I was telling Matza at the game, they're just kicking these 35-meter kicks, lace out. We had no chance of defending it. And then we wrestled momentum back a bit and so forth. It was a good game, and then they blew us out again a little bit at the end there. But I came out of that game thinking, like, Dogs are actually good. Like, that wasn't entirely North. Like, we could have done better. We could have won. But it wasn't entirely North, just didn't show up. They were just pretty good. And they backed it up again and could have won again. So, no, they're a solid team.
I think they've started with the season the right way, the Dogs.
Yeah, they're doing the best they can, I think.
Yeah.
They can't do much better.
Yeah. And then for the Pies, look, they're 2-1, and you know, after the opening round smacking, you know, they'd be pretty happy, I think, being 2-1.
Yeah.
At this point, like if you looked at it, like, you know, last year, you know, first 3 games, Sydney, Port, Bulldogs, you know, that's 2-1. I think is a pass.
Definitely,
maybe even a birdie.
Well, you're playing
maybe
Giants,
even beyond the par.
Giants,
you know?
Port, and Dogs 2-1. It seems fair enough. So
Also, Side Bottom and Pendlebury break the record as teammates.
What is it? Most games together.
Yeah,
that's insane,
which is pretty cool record. But they have been playing for like 600 years. So
that is.
They've got to break something eventually.
Yeah, the Cretaceous period or something. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking. They've been around since like dinosaur years. It is going to be sad when Pendles takes Boomers. title of most games played, and the thing is, you know what? It's a good segue because it's it's Brad Scott, and and he's with Essendon now, but it's him and his conglomerate, right, of people who thought that it was the right time to get rid of all those guys.
True.
And now that we're there, karma, Brady. So they got smacked.
You know what? Extra
161, baby.
If I could just say the extra little karma of like, I don't encourage hate on any particular players, but like the criticism Mackay has come under while Charlie Coleman clunks 12 intercept marks is just a thing of beauty.
But it's criticism that's deserved though. Like no one in that Essendon backline looks even remotely like Zach Reid. He's not ready for AFL.
Yeah.
Pryor can't kick.
But here's the thing, man, and I hate to be a broken record about the Brad Scott thing, and Bombers fans are finally coming on board and understanding where I was coming from.
They are. Shout out to me.
Me.
I enjoyed him on in the chat talking shit about
there's
about
others,
Brady.
right?
But yeah, so we just had a little recording malfunction, but we were at what was it? Hating on Essendon.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I was just saying how similar to the end of Brad Scott's era at North Melbourne, where team was pretty good, making a few prelims, not really that serious of a premiership threat. But instead of maybe continuing down that road, trying to recruit well, just refine, get a few youngsters in the back end of the draft and go from there. It was, let's just take out a whole bunch of experience, recruit poorly, try and rebuild, not do it right, try and recruit, elite talent fail, and so forth. So I just see a lot of the same parallels. And if I was Essendon fans, I'd be genuinely worried about the next few years of bottoming out. Because really, their key recruits like a Ben Mackay failing. Caldwell's done well, Merritt's a gun, but it's not enough. You need a squad. Like you can only really afford a couple back end of your 22 to be, average or below average players if you want to be a serious team. And most of their team is average or below average right now.
Yeah, well, I guess you look at it and compared to the team that they just got whipped by.
Yeah.
Right? Like just look at the amount of depth in that midfield. Like
Even contribution everywhere.
Exactly.
But they recruited really well. Like Rankin and Dawson are two of the recruits, best recruits you'll ever get as a club.
Oh yeah.
And then they've drafted pretty well, getting some contributions all around, like a Thilthorpe or Soligo or so forth. Their defense, just random dudes like Worrell that are just solid as.
Yeah.
So King, Hinge, all these guys, right? So something worked there under the radar. You're building away, chipping away, and then now they're making a serious push. Bombers, I just don't see it. I don't think their fans see it anymore. I mean, we like Caddy, we like Kako, sure. But something's just not right there. The defensive system's not been put into place well enough. And I'm not entirely... You can't possibly blame Brad Scott for all of it, but he's the one getting them every week to perform, and they're not doing that even. So I think there's some serious problems there, to be honest.
No, 100%. Look, yeah... for them, it's a tough time for them, and I got to say, shout out to Zumi for hating on him like we've been hating on him. Draper's snap from
Unreal.
like the opposite angle, like he was literally closing the angle on the shot, like that.
It's embarrassing, man, to be honest.
And shushing afterwards as well. Like, come on, bro. Like,
yeah,
those antics, they're not flying on a team that's this bad. Like, you cannot be doing that. And you're not good enough a player to be doing that in the first place.
Yeah.
He might be, he's average ruckman, man. Very average ruckman.
I know it might be a bit too far of a comment, but if any player on your team's doing that, you're not a serious team, in my opinion.
I kind of agree, man. If you're a professional football, he was directly in front, man. You shouldn't, you're professional. You shouldn't need to do that. Even with Harry Mackay, who's the other one that does that. Every time you see it, you just cringe, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, man. Look, that's something you expect amateur footy. You know what I mean? But
just the firepower from the Crows, man. 161 points they kicked, even contribution across the whole field, as you said. A forward line that's extremely potent. You got talls, you got smalls that are kind of sharing the goals, sharing the responsibility. I don't know where this was last year, but that kind of manic scoring and manic pressure that kind of is Adelaide is back, and I think they're the clear team that's going to rise from outside the 8 into the 8 this year. That's obvious after 2 rounds. I don't think they've had particularly strong opposition, as we've kind of talked about, but when you win that convincingly, clearly there's something that's going right with the Crows.
Yeah, 100%. Shout out my boy Stoink, man. Like,
happy boy.
He'd be a very happy boy, man. Like, and I think I disrespected his boy Thilthorpe. He's looking good, man. Beardthorpe doing his thing.
They've scored 46 goals in 2 weeks, so they're getting contributions from everywhere, man.
Yeah, that's cooked, man. And when you say everywhere, like Rochelle, Ben Keys, Fogarty, Thilthorpe, Rankin, Neil Bullen, Soligo, all with multiple goals.
That's insane.
There, that spread's insane.
And 103 points off turnovers.
So just really, really put him to the sword, and it is against a scrub team, so we can't get too excited. But even then,
Essendon have two players, Caldwell and Merritt, that rocked up. Merritt with 4 goals from a midfielder who's insane.
Feel sorry for the dude, bro.
Yeah.
He's just he's a jewel in there. He's just Rolls Royce type.
Yeah. And Essendon's backline is just, I don't know, man. They look like kids. Reed's getting a couple of games after being injured for the last couple of years, but he looks underdone. Pryor doesn't look that impressive. Mackay is just no good. Who are like McGrath off the back line for number 1 pick is pretty average. Redmond kind of competes, but there's just nothing there, man. There's no weaponry. There's no damage.
Yeah, and salt in the wound is Adelaide, they're lining up thinking, who do we rest? Like, do we rest Saligo? Do we rest Rankin? They end up resting Rankin, which is just insane, at this part of the season to be doing
That's
that.
like an NBA team just resting resting Giannis for the
exactly
fourth quarter.
right.
Like, game's won. We don't need him.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's like, empty out the bench, you know what I mean? Get the resis on, type thing. And in this case, their resi was Draper, who's a gun, you know what I mean? So the depth is insane for them, man. Shout out to them, but a huge alarm bells for Essendon, man. They're in that middle phase, that middle part of the ladder, and maybe a lower part of that ladder. It's just they're in purgatory. In that zone, you know what I mean? They're in that level. It's like in Mario Kart where you're just like in the middle, right. And you're not getting good enough items, and you just can't jump to those.
They're in like either 3 banana or like single green shell territory. You don't want that.
Exactly.
What's going to be their rocket? Like that's what they need.
The bullet bill.
Yeah, bullet bill.
The bullet bill is a top 3 pick.
Yeah,
but they can't get a bullet bill. Is there a bill in the AFL? Is Billy Watson? Was there a Billy Watson?
Cool.
Do you guys have a Billy Watson? You guys drafted a guy last year?
Billy Wilson.
Billy Wilson. There you go. There's Bullet Bill over there. You know what I mean? But other than that, no, there's no Bullet Bill for them at the minute.
Man,
or
it'd be crazy news talk if you hear that Essendon's targeting Billy Wilson in the
they needed Billy. Yeah, they needed Bullet Bill there.
Heard it here first.
I wouldn't mind Billy Wilson getting a game, by the way, just on a Carlton note.
Well, funny you mentioned what they need is like a top pick or whatever, because the whole Harley Reid thing, the rumors never ending. I saw a few Essendon fans online saying like, and forget the 3 first-round draft picks like on Harley Reid. We need to actually use those picks on top 3 picks over the next few years. So
100%.
That's probably a fair call.
Nah, legit, man, legit. But yeah, speaking of a team with a lot of first-round picks, Richmond, they've regressed to the mean. I guess
to reality. Yeah,
exactly right. Like,
something you guys that I was listening to you guys say last week was like, obviously, we expect Port to win this game. I was thinking, just listening from the hotel room in Sydney, like it reminds me of North 2 years ago. Win your first 2 games, West Coast and Freo, and then just back to reality. And no one was seriously expecting them to win this week. I think a few Tigers fans thought maybe there was a bit more juice in the tank, but not to be, boys. Sorry.
They've already overachieved, man. They're done for the season.
Yeah,
the Tigers.
And it's okay. I told them in the preview, like, just enjoy the draft footage, follow the youngsters, watch the highlights you get from an Armstrong or something, and just enjoy.
Yeah, that's the thing. No, Armstrong, he had a nice little patch of just, felt like everything was falling to him. You know what I mean? Like, he took a couple nice marks, kicked a couple goals. He did all right. Fawcett made his debut. Good for him. I thought Blight was lively in the forward line when they moved him there. Because he's a solid mark. We already saw his marking ability in the defense. Like last year and first game. But yeah, look, Port they did exactly what they needed to do, and I think because I had Captain Connor. Connor Rose as my captain in Supercoach. I really was watching him like a hawk, and it's nice at the start of the season you just get introduced or reintroduced to how good some players are. And with him having the spotlight now, with Butters out, because let's be fair, Butters is the all action. He's bouncing off players. He's using that agility and burst all the time. You get to see, now we can focus on Rosie. And he's just, he's
electric.
Great, man.
He's a great player.
The evasion and when he just puts the jets on and, he just he'll like arch the back and just sort of dodge people. It's great, man.
Couldn't ask for a better fixture as a Port fan after a really bad round one. It's like just get Richmond at home.
That's it.
Get the confidence up. Horn Francis just resting forward, just taking the piss, handballing off every open goal he had.
He's just being a brat.
He's just doing what he does. Guys like Willem Drew can bear a lot of the grunt in there. Like, it doesn't really matter what's going on.
Yeah, even Willie Rioli was getting a run in the midfield.
He was, yeah. So and he was also throwing milk on the Gatorade shower at the end, which is wild.
That's gross, bro. Poor
interesting
Marais.
choice of like rehydration after a game. Just water, Gatorade. Nah, give me some full cream.
The lactose intolerant community is going to riot after that.
maybe Marais is he might be lactose as well.
Do you reckon? Do you reckon he's lactose tolerant?
He might be, bro. He might be. I don't know. But look, if he's, I wonder how many AFL players are lactose. You know what I mean? Because I think it'd be because not being able to eat cheese and milk. I feel like that's a big part of a diet. You know what I mean? A bit of healthy fats. A bit of yogurt.
If you're a lactose intolerant football player, let us know.
No, 100%, man. We support you. We support you in your struggle. Shout out, Georgie. He's not a.
That's why I didn't make it in the AFL.
That's why Georgie didn't make it in the AFL.
If you didn't do your knee and if you weren't lactose intolerant,
that's about it.
Anyway, enough about that game. To be honest with you, we're gonna give a big shout out to our boy Chris and his Sainters.
Man, what a performance,
mate!
They were. I had this stat in front of me. Tackle count, right? I know we love a couple stats on the pod here, but 88 tackles to 76. But it's not just the total. Like, obviously, there's a decent amount of tackles on both ends, but 10 to McRae, right? 13 to Steele, which we know Jack Steele, that's his thing, right? But the amount of players that had multiple tackles is crazy to me. Like 6 to Sinclair, 6 to Marshall, 5 to Jones, 5 to Winhager. There's 5 to O'Connell, a couple 4s there to Keeler, Clark, Garcia. Like, pretty much everyone on the team had multiple tackles. Only Caminiti didn't lay one, which, back to the resis for you, I guess. But it was so evident watching the game. The amount of smothers they put in, the amount of hard tackles, crazy. And they deserve the win.
Yeah. Very Ross Lyon type of performance with the pressure. And, from the Cats, that was their lowest halftime possession count under Chris Scott.
Crazy.
That is
so
insane,
they St Kilda just possessed the ball. And actually, if you want to talk about Supercoach or ranking points at the end of the game, what I found interesting is the Saints had 7 guys over 100 and 2 guys on 99, and the Cats had 0 people above 100.
Yeah, actually, I noticed that. I did notice that.
And to be honest, the Cats nearly won the game. So sometimes possessing the ball doesn't always lead to scores, but I just thought the amount of ball St Kilda had, the amount of tackle pressure, and interesting hearing Chris Scott's comments about just champagne football from the Saints in the first half. He just was surprised by how good they are. So they obviously were quite clean, and there's a difference between playing at Adelaide Oval last week and playing at Marvel Stadium, and we know Saints are good at that venue, but it's good to see them kind of play to a high standard.
Yeah, well, look, I think credit has to go to Rowan Marshall. He tailed up SDK. He made him look like a defender, you know what I mean, and not a ruckman. It's good that he's fit and he's firing and ready to go. They tried Harry Boyd last week, but I think this is what it should be. Like, Marshall, he's one of the best rucks in the comp, man. Like, I don't really understand the want for them to go get DeConning, to be honest with you. I don't really understand why you do that when you already have such a great...
They're just desperate for anyone to sign the bag there.
Yeah, and I know, like, I'm sure Marshall could, be a solid forward as well. Maybe even DeConning can, swing there into the forward line as well. But, like...
It's not their go. It's like a Melbourne getting Gawn and Grundy. Like, don't bother.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not worth it.
Yeah. So, I love his performance. McRae deserves all the flowers. All the flowers in the world. Give him the florist. You know what I mean? Like, the 10 tackles that you said earlier, the top the team in clearances, just the drive forward, you know what I mean? He's got the inside and outside game just down pat. And we knew this, to be honest. We knew this, and he kind of just got bevoed, as they say. He got bevoed. He didn't really get the opportunity to play in his correct position. And they're not going to pay for it because they already have other midfielders, but it's just St Kilda's benefit. So,
100%.
Yeah.
And Saints really needed a grunt inside midfielder that could collect the clearance count as well. But I like that McRae had a high meters gained kind of performance. So he's moving the ball forward. He's not just extracting it, but he's being impactful, which is reflected in his kind of ranking points, which were crazy.
Yeah, and it fits because you have Steele, who's a grunty type player, and also a guy who brought the grunt, and he also managed to keep Holmes, honest. Windhager as well.
Yeah.
He had a great game. Like I thought, to be honest with you, I thought Windhager was done. I thought that he had a few good games as a tagger last year, and now today, in the game this week, he sort of brought that back. But he was also a decent user of the footy as well. Like there was an inside 50 where he lowered the eyes, and instead of just blasting away, he made the player come to the kick. It was one of those type of kicks where he drew the forward out, and the forward stopped running back towards the goal, and when it marked it. It was like you can see that there's some class in the way Windhager goes about it as well. So shout out to him, man.
Well, the good thing for the Saints as well is they've got a couple of players to come back, like Max King,
Philippou,
Liam Henry. If you consider him best 22, at least he's a runner. There's a couple others that
Travaglia hasn't made his debut yet, so that's something to be excited about.
Lance Collard, 2 goals.
Yeah.
I liked him. I think Carlton fans kind of wanted him in the draft 2 years ago. Higgins 4. When he's on, he's a very good player.
When he's on, he's crazy.
He's very good.
No, that's it.
Owen's kicking a few as well. So I think similar to when King was out late last year, they sort of found a bit of a spark, won a few games. It's that small brigade for them that really steps up. A guy like Mason Wood, good at linking the play up.
Yeah. Owens makes a big difference as well when he's firing.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he actually gave that forward line a little bit of just a bit of aggression, a bit of structure. I think he helped them big time.
Just on the Cats, I know Saints won this and it was a great victory, but even though the Cats got dominated for most of the game, they really could have easily won this game. I mean, the fourth quarter was all them.
It was all them.
It was completely one-sided, and it was quite fascinating to watch and interesting to watch because they won a lot of one-on-one contests and they got the ball moving forward quite efficiently. But I just felt like even though they scored goals, they kind of bottled it in that last kick inside 50. Like they're usually quite a composed team and they've got amazing small forwards that make opportunities happen like they did. But they kicked it to the pack many times, and I felt like if they just lowered their eyes, they had multiple opportunities. I think they kicked the last 4 points of the game and out of the bounds on the full, and they just lost, and there was the goal review decision.
Right.
So it was completely one-sided, and they could have easily run over the Saints.
Yeah.
So that's another side of the argument is when the Cats are on,
of course,
with Tom Stewart out, with Bailey Smith not playing,
True.
that there is a level that the Cats can go to
yeah.
that maybe the Saints can't match.
What a save from Nazaya, though. That was insane. Brad Close being a bit cheeky trying to claim it, even though it didn't hit his foot at all.
Yeah, boy.
I personally think if you know you didn't touch it, just there's cameras. Like
Disagreed,
anyway.
mate. You got to claim everything.
I think you got to claim it.
You have to claim everything because you don't know when the ARC, the VAR, when they're going to make mistakes, mate.
And I think you owe it to your team to, it's almost a little bit. I think it could be viewed as selfish to not fight for that point because the rest of your team's relying on that.
All I'll say is like he convinced everybody, including Naz, that he hit that ball.
Yeah, a little like yo-yo. Like
very good acting. Very good.
He hypnotized him.
But no, well done, Sainers. I mean, that was the first rule upset of the week. Yeah. And I must say, as we'll transition to the next game, Brizzy beating the Eagles, I then see the Eagles come out hot. And I'm getting ready for the North game at this point thinking, today could be a special day, man.
Remember when we joked about last week about this was being the upset? West Coast at the Gabba?
I know we did
almost happened.
I checked the first quarter. I was at the Greek Independence Day march. I nearly
good boy.
crashed into like 6 2-year-olds, man. I couldn't believe what I was watching, man. And for some reason, I had a sneaky feeling they were going to start off strong. But the fact that this was close, this had no right to be a close game.
The Eagles make no sense as a team. Like even last year, they'll come out, they spank Melbourne at Optus, and then they get spanked the next week.
Yeah.
You do not know what you're getting.
There was a game, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, where they versed Freo, and they just
Tell them up. Last year. Tell them up.
It was the most one-sided game I've seen from any team ever.
Yeah.
And it's like, who are these randos? Yeah. If you look at the lineup of West Coast and the Lions this game, it's like a premiership team versus under 12s. Like these guys are so nameless and like almost irrelevant to the footy world, and they were up at halftime, man. They had no right. That midfield.
Well, they were up until late. It wasn't just halftime.
The Ashcroft brothers, Neil, Dunkley, McCluggage versus who did they have in the midfield?
They only lost the lead.
Baker, Hewitt.
Baker, yeah.
Who was that?
Duggan. Dewar.
They only lost the lead in the 29th minute mark of the third quarter and then quickly reclaimed the lead. So they went into the last quarter, only sort of 5 minutes in, they lost the lead and never got it back.
Yeah. If they won that game, they talk about Richmond being like one of the biggest upsets I've ever seen last week against Carlton. This would have been way bigger. in my opinion.
Look, the
At
nature of the 40-point lead means that it can't be worse. But as a result, just if you look at the bookend, like start and end of game, it would have been pretty much worse. Yeah,
I think it's worse, man.
I would agree. But nah, look, Lions, I think when you're that good and that favoured of a team, I think they fell into the trap of just giving a bit of hope.
But they've been slow starters 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and even last year, they were slow starters.
No, they were fast starters last year.
Swans were slow.
Yeah.
Swans were slow. Yeah, look, I don't know. I guess they just took the piss a bit and got punished.
Yeah.
But good for the Eagles. I mean, I think the key for a bottom 4 team would be don't get, Clarko's been saying a lot for North. We want to see how long we can stay in games. Good on them. They were in the game the entire time. So that's all you can really ask for when you're rebuilding is just build that confidence that you're staying in games, and you might nick a few. So
can I read you the Eagles team, man?
Yeah, go.
Kelly, Baker, Dewar, who played an amazing game.
He did. Yeah.
Luke Ryan Marrick, Bradley Ho, Matt Owis, Duggan, McGovern, Jim B. Reid, Cripps, Elijah Hewitt, James Hunt, C. Hall.
Did you say James Hunt?
What's his name? Jaden Hunt,
James
whatever.
Hunt.
I'm thinking Formula One. T. Colt, Tyler Brockman, Oscar
Cole.
Allen, BJ Williams injured, Archer Reedy injured. I think is that a Harry
Thomas
Edwards?
Cole, baby.
Harry Edwards, yeah.
Ned Long and Petricelli.
Look,
what is this team,
it's
man?
not that bad.
It's horrid, bro.
Look,
It's horrid.
Slightly harsh, but I agree.
I get it.
Come on, man. What is this team, bro?
Nah, fair enough. Petricelli.
Who put this ragtag team together, man?
There you go.
They almost. I think the Lions almost thought the same thing you're thinking, man. But
Compare that: Zorko, Berry, Neil, Dunkley, Lester, Harris Andrews, Darcy Wilmot, McCluggage, Ashcroft, McInerney, Jasper Fletcher, Archie, Hipwood, Bailey. Have I named a bad player yet?
Nah.
Hipwood, Ashcroft, Cam Rayner. Oh my god, bro! This is night and day, in my opinion.
Yeah, nah, fair enough.
look, it shouldn't have been close, but I guess that goes to show in this modern game, if you're not on and you take the team lightly, they can jump you. Now, there's a bit long enough game to rewrite it.
We'll never worry that they were going to win that. Come on, man.
Nah, I agree. It's not like the
30 points was probably the max margin, and they had 3 quarters to catch it up.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That's the trouble. That's the trouble with starting so fast. There's plenty of game left to go. So
you got to start slow.
When you got acupuncture Zorko, just toweling him up with those kicks, mate. Pinpoint kicking, bruh. He's safe.
Like a fine wine.
Oh, fine wine, mate. He's done me so much justice in Supercoach and selecting him. 26 kicks, 670 meters gained. And the other thing is, in the first quarter, he hardly had any other ball. All of a sudden, they get the ball in his hands. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
But when he was needed, he's like, okay, we have a game here. I need to do something.
Yeah.
Fine. Let's go from first gear to fifth.
Give me the ball, boys.
Yeah, let's go.
Give me the ball.
Hop on. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, can we talk about North now? I've been
Let's
waiting
do
and waiting. All right, good. Matt's has got the scarf ready.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Oh, man. So
Is that a Greek flag or is that a Ruse flag, man?
it could be. It could be both. Look, I've got a lot to say. I was at the game. I was driving to and from Albury from Melbourne today. So long time in the car to just think and digest. Yesterday was obviously a massive high. Today's Monday. We're recording. I thought I'd best maybe just tell the story of the game from my perspective and not drain it. I'll just sort of give some highlights and then we'll get into the regular game review. But
this is good. We haven't really had a chance to really talk about the game.
just tonight, I haven't even really spoken to you about it, man, which is crazy. But
let's do it.
So I get to the game. Small crowd expected, Melbourne v North Melbourne. So they told us with our general admin ticket, you can go level 1. Certain aisles were available. So I'm like, for sure, yep, I'll sit level 1. Go take a seat. And I don't know, the vibe was a bit off. It was a bit heavy with Melbourne fans, but a lot of families and young kids and stuff. And we just got a bit unlucky. A kid behind us was just like one of these kids, didn't know the rules and just yelling random stuff at the wrong time. It's just like, I didn't feel in the game. It was a bit weird, right? So I said to my wife, quarter time, let's just go sit somewhere else. We'll find somewhere. And I know, shout out North Closer to a Flag page on Facebook. I know them and the podcast community, Further North Pod, shout out. They sit in Bay 29 at North games. It's like this vibe sort of place to sit, the more modern, younger fan sort of thing.
Boomer Harvey number
aisle. So I'm like, let's go there. We didn't have a seat, but we stood, so level 1, standing on those benches right at the back. And honestly, I must say, best call I ever made. The vibe there, packed out full of North fans only. And just like kanga chants every goal, like jumping up. Like it couldn't have been a better vibe, and it was packed out and as loud as it can get in any section of Marvel. So anyway, watching the game, I think we can all agree that saw the game. North played pretty well from the get-go, but couldn't punish them. And it just seemed like the same old story. We're going to miss chances, same as last week. We're not going to take our chance. Melbourne at some point will kick on and whatever. And I'll skip to the end because like that last quarter starts, we're up by 3 goals. And every single North fan in the stadium is thinking like, how are we going to stuff this up? When you haven't been a winning team for so long, it's like, I can't wait to see how we're going to blow this one. And hands up, like for sure, that's what I was thinking. First clearance, goal. Second clearance, goal. Like the elation in that stadium, I was so happy I didn't have a seat. I was jumping. Like I've never behaved that way at the football. It was the best feeling ever. I wasn't alone. Like everyone's just losing our minds. 6 at one point to start that last quarter, it was 6 inside 50s, 6 goals.
That's just crazy.
And all within like 10 minutes. And then we're
Insane.
just like, at the end there, Bailey Scott's marking it from 55, just like instantly wheeling, bang, 50-meter goal. Like the confidence switch. I know last year against the Pies in the first half, we played the best we've played in years. But that was too much game to go and they caught up, right? This one was just like, I looked up at the scoreboard after a few minutes of the last quarter, we're up at like 40 points. Thinking like, we're going to win. And I still was looking up at that scoreboard every minute, like how much time's left. Like I still didn't have the trust.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, we're singing the North Melbourne theme song with like 5 minutes to go on loop. And I just could not believe, like I was hands on head just after a certain amount of goals. I'm just like, what am I watching? It was the best feeling ever. I saw George Wardlaw at halftime. That was crazy. Gave him a bit of a massage on the hammy. Said, you'll be right next week. Let's go. But he's a muscular young man. Like he was wearing shorts. So like, man, those calves are insane. Tree trunks.
Mate, as a first year player, I remember his hamstrings, his legs.
Crazy, man.
Big legs.
It was kind of like you seeing Mark Murphy at the F1, except I saw Georgie Wardlaw. I said
you actually saw him.
I gave him a thumbs up. I said, yes, Georgie. And he gave me a cheeky thumbs up back.
That's bad.
Nice.
But yeah, that was kind of like, just everything came together that game. Like North, I think we're building something special. To win a game, I know the stats flying around. We haven't won by this much since 2020. COVID affected year against the Crows, who were rebuilding as well.
Yeah.
Besides that, like I think we beat you guys by 39 in 2021, and the year after,
that was the Teague one. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, and then, that was a great game where Taron Thomas like tore you up.
Yeah.
And then Larky as well.
7 on Weeders.
And then there was the one against the Eagles against Gold Coast to end the Harley Reid Cup, you could say.
Yeah.
Aside from that, every single win we've had has been a goal, maximum 2 goals. To win like that, I haven't felt that feeling live because these are interstate. Like that game against the Eagles was Tassie. The Adelaide one was in Queensland. The Carlton one was at Marvel. I haven't seen a game of 56 or whatever points it was, 59 points live, maybe ever, to be honest.
You know what that game was? That game was nourishment for North Melbourne supporters.
Man.
Like, because a little win here and there is a little bit of nourishment.
That's a David Noble lyricism, but I'll forgive it.
Exactly. No, but it needed to be done. Shout out to Noble for this one. Nourishment was what was given to us in this game. Like that is just that is an Oasis type victory. You know what I mean? That's
pure elation.
We've been in the desert. Let's be fair, right?
Man,
and I'll give my little story of the game. Right, so I was at work. Unfortunately, I'm trying to watch it during my break. I watched the first quarter and about 5 minutes before the result got spoiled for me. But we were 1-5 and we hit the post 3 times.
Yep.
Melbourne were ahead.
Yep.
I'm thinking I've seen this movie before. Missed opportunity, another game like the Bulldogs game.
Yep.
That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. But this movie had a plot twist.
Oh, man.
And the plot twist was the best plot twist.
A sweet, sweet plot twist.
Oh, yeah. It was lovely. So... and so of course I get home and I watch the entire game and stay up till 4 a.m. But needed to be done, right? Look, I'm very happy. We got to give flowers to players like Charlie Comben. Both you and I were hard on him, but like we said, like he had the toughest matchup last week against Darcy. This week, I think he was playing on Daniel Turner or Matt Jefferson, one of those two.
I couldn't tell, mate. He was too busy just intercepting the ball. Like,
exactly,
I didn't know
right.
who he was playing on.
Yeah, honestly, it didn't matter. Like there was no real defensive responsibility, so he was just chopping off everything. And I swear there was that little like period in the game where it was like 4 inside 50s in a row from Melbourne, and he chopped them all off. It was insane, man.
The thing was though, in the second quarter, he dropped 2 sitters.
Yep.
And North, it was right in front of us where we were standing. The North fans were like, "Bloody hell, Chom!" Like last week, I didn't think he had a good game. A lot of fans thought so as well. And then he's dropping these marks, and they led to goals. Like it was really bad.
Yeah, the clarity.
And then he just comes out after half time. It's like he just spent the entire time just like punching a wall. He came out and just was like God level intercept marking. Ridiculous, right? Finn O'Sullivan, there was a moment in front of me where he spun around the Melbourne player. Right in front of me.
Right in front of me.
It was a thing of beauty. Like the evasion that kid has, and he's not getting a lot of it right now. He doesn't even need to.
No,
He's just class, right? Sheasel's not doing anything right now. He's in second gear.
Yeah, he is, man.
And we're winning and we're competitive. And like at the end of the game, he got his party tricks out, a bit of the over the back handball and so forth. LDU, great game, but wasn't exactly like we're not relying on our best players to have out of this world performances to win games. Robbie Hanson Jr., mate, no one's talking about this kid. He's looking incredible. Getting about 15 touches a game of just pure effectiveness, clean. So many players, man. Constanti's bringing the pressure.
Yep.
The recruits are awesome. Daniel, Darling, Parker, all doing their roles.
Mate, exactly what we needed from each of them, man. Jack Darling he's like, look, he's older, but he's not washed, man.
No.
He's not washed. He's still taking marks. I feel like there's this structure in this forward line now where all of a sudden, even a hat kick in there, you feel like something can happen.
The
you know
ball's
what I mean?
hitting the deck now, and we have the advantage.
Exactly right.
Robbie Hanson, like I said, Constanti, Curtis. It's no coincidence that Curtis and Zerha have kicked a handful of goals each, both games.
Exactly. You know, and it was unfortunate in round one that it was 1-4 to Zerha, you know, and if it was 4 goals to 1, we might, I think we would have won.
Well,
but like now
time.
he did it this week and, you know.
Correct. Like
Perfect.
I'm not going to say we could do no wrong because aside from the last quarter, there was so many skill errors. Like both teams, I was watching like certain points like turnover to turnover. It's like, what are we watching here? It was a pretty poor quality game, but that last quarter was something else. Tristan Jerry, mate, if there's any debate about AA Ruckman this year, like put it in the bin.
Yeah.
It's over. Give it to him. You can argue DeConning and him split it if DeConning keeps it up all year. Like you got to have both in. You can't exclude this guy any longer. By the way, side note here, did you guys see Goodman's comments after the game regarding Max Gawn?
Yeah, apparently he had some personal stuff
I hope it's all okay, but that was pretty shit form from a coach, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like you try to keep that like, you know.
if it's not public by Max Gawn.
What did he say?
So basically, he wasn't even prompted. Like he just kind of was asked about the matchup and, you know, the battle and whatever.
Clearly,
And
Sherry destroyed.
clearly lost the battle, right? And he basically said, look, there's always a backstory behind every bad performance. Like, we'll leave it there. Then they asked another question, and he's like, yeah, look, there's things that happen in footy, things that happen off the field. We'll just leave it at that. But yeah, you know, there's always an explanation for the performance. It's like,
but that's just so you're providing excuses, and you're at the same time you're putting this guy's this guy into the spotlight where
Correct.
he obviously he shouldn't be in the spotlight.
for me, it's just poor form. Like if he's going through something, he should either not played or it's obviously a secret for a reason. Like just shut up, honestly. And I can see it with Melbourne, like this whole like kumbaya, hold hands, we're a different team mentality now. It's bullshit. We tore him to shreds, mate.
Yeah.
You know, at one point, Ed Langdon kicked it over Clary's head right to Parker, and we scored a goal at the end. And Clary's just looking at him, like you could tell Petrarca's shaking his head. Like all this, like I said, the kumbaya holding hands in the off-season is a load of shit. We bullied them. Like just one more thing. We bullied them. Like you're thinking last quarter starts. Last week against the Dogs, we got jumped. We were down by 7 points and we got jumped to start that last quarter. This time around, we jumped them. And we're dealing with an on-ball of Gawn, Petrarca, Ollie, and Viney. And they couldn't touch the ball, mate. Tommy Powell out of the middle every time.
He's in the thick
LDU
of
every
it.
time. They couldn't get near us. But every time they tried to tackle us, guys like Tommy Powell now are like, get the hell off me. They're becoming men in front of our eyes. It's really exciting.
Mate, all of them, though. All of them. Even Will Phil, he's dancing around people as well, you know.
Like,
Mate.
if that's the point Melbourne's going to wrestle back momentum, it would have been then. And they just couldn't.
Yeah. No,
And their
100%.
fragile mentality, I think they're in trouble. And it's not to say they're not a good team, but we broke them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are big KSI fans, but Tom Powell having Thick of It as his song is so funny.
Crazy.
Man. And like there's a video of KSI reacting to AFL clips in the North Melbourne jersey.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, man. Like it's poetic. So because for me growing up like in high school, KSI, FIFA 13 videos.
Crazy.
Oh,
Can I say a few more things? Sorry, I just don't want to
keep
miss
going,
anything
man.
I wrote. But
Yeah.
at one point in the last quarter, I don't know if this is the final number, but they show the stats on the screen. Scores from stoppages, right? As I was just alluding to the domination. 52-17 at one point. I don't know if it got worse.
Yeah.
I think that's your biggest score from stoppage since 1999.
Would have to be.
Mm.
Man,
Wow.
it was... Every clearance was a goal to start that last quarter. It was insane, right?
No, it was, man. It was.
The North fans, I said I was sitting around. There was the kanga roo chants after every goal. Good vibe. But at one point, and I know they've done this in the past. Toby Pink just did one too many good things in a row right in front of us, and there was just a chance of pink, pink, pink. It was insane. Shout out to that crowd there. Like we're sitting there from now on. To be honest,
Nah,
with you. Like,
sounds good,
there's no way we're not.
Nah, it'd be nice to sit in a group with people where it's just like you have this, similar feeling and similar level of being a degenerate, North Melbourne supporter.
Correct.
As us. So shout out to them, man.
There's two more things.
Yep.
Sorry to drain it.
No, look, if you're going to drain it, this is the week.
This is the one, right?
Come on.
I agree with that.
I think the last two things will be funny. So the next one is more to say about North Melbourne's resilience this year, which is in the third quarter, D's had 19 inside 50s to 9, and we won the quarter. So defense that we always say, we shit on it and we say they're not good enough. That just proves to me, A, some of the plays there are good enough, like your Charlie Commons and so forth. B, the setup behind the ball was so much better. They weren't getting good quality entries. And we're able to rebound. Last thing's a bit of a fun one. So after the game, I must say, poor form from the North. Whoever sets up the audio system, I'm on level 1. I couldn't even barely hear the theme song pre-game and anyway during the post-game. But they only played the song once and then started doing interviews on the field. And in true, that clip they always post when we win about Big Daddy, that kid like kangaroo song.
Kangaroo song.
I was in that much of a mood. I'm yelling out kangaroo song. Mind you, I'm still jumping at this point, so I was literally like that kid.
Yeah,
and they obliged and played again. So
love that movie.
It was good, man. Anyway, what a game! Footy's fun again.
It is fun.
We're back, baby.
I'm happy for you boys because
Thanks, man.
we've done this podcast. This is the third year. How many wins have you guys? How many times have we sat here on the couch and you guys have actually won in those 3 years?
It'd be 6, 3 each year.
7. Yeah,
It's not a lot. So
that's it. So finally, we can enjoy ourselves now as well.
Yeah, just like we spent a long time on this game, which is fair enough. But just a quick comment on Melbourne. Like I thought they played pretty well last week, and obviously you guys have flattened them this week. What do you think? Just quickly, what went wrong for them? Do you think?
I think we just beat them where they're strongest, which is in the middle, and they couldn't. I mean, they dealt with it most of the game. We made a lot of errors, so did they. But I just think when they did try and transition it, I think the scouting report on North is like move it quickly. They're unorganized. If you get it beyond the first wave of pressure, like you're in. And I think they thought like, yeah, let's just move it quickly. We'll try and go. But they didn't execute it so well, and then we were right there on them. Like the pressure was good enough. So I just think we hit them where it hurts.
Yeah,
and I don't think
I agree with that.
I think many teams say like North's got many fans say North's got a top midfield of young players and when's it going to click? We bullied him.
I'll say another little thing where you could say it went wrong for Melbourne as well. They don't have Steve May. And honestly, like he's their backline general. He's taking kick-ins. He's taking the best forward. He's doing everything. So I think that hurts a lot as well. And now that our forward line finally seems to be clicking, having that bigger cog out, that is not helping. That's not helping. So
I said Adelaide before has kicked like 49 goals in 2 weeks. We kicked 19 this week, and last week against the Dogs, it wasn't too much off though. What was it? It was 14. So we've kicked 33 goals in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
kicked 97 points last week and 125 this week. So we're looking all right. We're getting a bit potent. It's just about that defensive pressure and consistency and not giving away cheap goals.
Exactly right. Yeah, no, because I feel like we did have a few mistakes, but they were earlier on in the game, and I guess they don't matter now. But they're being slowly we're mitigating that, so it's good.
No, it was a huge step forward in the right direction. But yeah, Melbourne. For me, I saw in person the cracks of mentality, and I'm just thinking, I
did see some dirty looks from Oliver because Oliver had one of his better games. That was kind of back to Oliver's best type of performance, and you could tell he was looking at the rest of his teammates, going, "What's going on, boys?"
Yeah,
you could just see it. You could read it.
He's thinking, I thought I was meant to be the shit one.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm back, boys. Why aren't you?"
Exactly.
Next game, I reckon, for Sydney, last one.
Yeah. So do you want to hear my scouting reports on the Swans?
Yes.
From my Sydney trip. So
100%.
You can take as much of this as truth as you want, or as little. I'm not going to tell you if this is a true story or not. So you'll have to just believe me if you want. Up to you.
Here we go.
So I'm in Sydney, right? And managed to just bump into Dean Cox.
You always
get out of here.
You always bump into. There's no way. No, bro. Every time this guy goes out, he sees a football player. No
when
way.
you say bump into him, you literally walk past him and you actually like touch shoulders. Like, sorry,
so,
Coxie.
mate,
Like,
you would believe this, mate. My name's Dean as well. Anyway, so we're sitting getting a coffee, and we get talking. I just said,
He didn't even try and make this accurate.
So I just say to him, look, at the end of the conversation, just enjoy the game. Good luck. Just remember, tell the boys every second counts. Yeah. And what happens at the end of the game? They win by a second. Crazy. Nah, that's not true at all.
Nah, look, you had me there. That was funny. The thing is, when you say you bumped into him, I'm like, okay, there's a little bit of realism. Yeah, and anyway, so we're sipping away at a coffee. Like, that's the part for me, man.
No, what I did find out though, Chad Warner going to WA confirmed. Oh, just you heard it here first.
Hey, all right,
You
there
heard
we
it here
go.
first.
There we go.
That's more believable.
No, I'll give you that.
But yeah, on the subject of every second counts, man, Freo they find interesting ways to lose games.
They
don't
love to lose in the on the clock
Bloody
or
hell.
in the red time. That was not a great game.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like that's low scoring right. So all the other teams are scoring 100. Crows are scoring 160 points, and this is like an arm wrestle to 60 points. But if you want to say a game's an arm wrestle, that was an arm wrestle for the whole game, and it just wasn't clear who was going to win. And then, but Freo would be kicking themselves because they were leading for most of the game. But then in just the dying seconds, Sydney win it, and then a great goal from Riley Bice as well.
Yeah, man.
That kid looks great. Mature age recruit.
Yeah, no, I said it actually in the Supercoach pod that I did. So basically, if he becomes a prominent AFL player, and there's a chance because he looked really good,
He did.
there's going to be too many Supercoach teams called Bice Baby, and I'm going to hate it, bro. Because they already do that in FPL with Rice Baby.
Yeah.
You know, so Bice Baby, you heard it here first.
Mate.
That's going to be...
Stole my idea.
There it is, man. But yeah, nah, he looks like he's ready, like for the level. You know what I mean? Werribee boy. Those Werribee boys always end up,
Yeah, a
decent
bit of
AFL.
a mature age factory, aren't they?
100%, man. 100%.
What I will say, I've seen a lot of chat online like, why did we all think Freo was going to be good this year? They suck. And I was thinking about it. Remember last year, they started the year pretty poorly as well by memory. And then, personally, I didn't watch a lot of them because I'm like, these guys are boring. I didn't like the way they played, slow movement, whatever. And then when I stopped watching, they actually became a pretty good team. They won a lot of games, but personally, I never tuned into it, I'll be honest. And then when I did get back on board with them late in the year, I'm like, oh, these guys are pretty serious. Then they flopped off again.
So it's you.
So personally, I haven't actually seen what people see in Freo. I've just seen the results, but I can't picture it.
I think if you look at their team, right, they've got a strong midfield that's been built up over the years. I think their forward line starts to make a bit of sense because those talls like Voss, even though he missed a critical shot, Giant Miss, and who's the other guy?
Tracy, man.
Tracy.
The best one.
The best one, right?
Bolton's there now too.
Bolton's there, right? And their defense has a bit of drive with Jordan Clark and these type of players. That it seems like they've got all the pieces. Yeah, but they just can't.
It doesn't surprise me
They can't
though.
perform. They can't score.
Yeah, when they play badly, I'm never surprised, and when they win, I'm kind of like, yeah, it makes sense. So I never really know exactly where to put them.
Look, they did lose to it. They should have won that game, right? But Sydney's not a slack team, and the chance of Sydney going 0-3 seems quite low.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one thing. They did go to Geelong and got smashed, but yeah, I still think Freo will find a way to grind the season out and be quite good.
Yeah, I'm
Like, I'm not.
But
I
they
know
were
they've lost 2 games, but I'm not that concerned.
They were a
about them.
top 4 fancy though. Like I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, what actually are they? Are they actually a chance for that top? Like they could turn it around and go on a good run. It wouldn't surprise me. But also wouldn't surprise me if they were just like in that purgatory a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I get what you mean. Look, I will say that, speaking of biblical terms, they've had a bit of a baptism of fire, we'll say, in the first 2 rounds. Geelong, and then now, this was at Perth, but it's Sydney still the team that was in the grand final last year, and they lost to them by a second, basically, right? The seconds, mattered. So it was like, I can't be too... I'm with Georgie. I think they're going to find their way, to playing good footy. And we can see, players are making impacts. Like, O'Driscoll's making an impact. This time he didn't play any CBAs, which I thought was interesting. He was just a pure wingman, but he still was damaging on the ball. I think Jago Mira, nice little job on Heaney there. I didn't really expect
He's got a bit of form.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Tracy, right? I don't know if it's Tracy or Tracy, but the commentators are saying Tracy, right? I have a nickname for him, and Dino might appreciate this one. Tea time. Tea time. So Dino would know that reference.
What was Tracy Reynolds thinking?
What was Tracy? That's it. So shout out to Tracy, man. I think he's up there with Matz's boys. To be honest with you, I liked all of his goals. There was 2 contested mark goals. There was another one where he kicked it from about 45, but I swear that would have gone 60 meters, that kick. And then there was a nice little snap. He can use the ball, get the ball on the ground as well. So I thought he had a really good performance. He gets his flowers. Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a boring game. I will give you that, man. Like,
It's hard to dissect because there's just so many one-on-ones, so many scrap kicks, so many kicks to kind of contest. So
yeah,
Sydney just had the maturity in the end to kind of find a way to just make it happen, which is a sign of a good team.
yeah, and the guy who's going to be playing for Freo next year as well, Chad Warner, man. Like,
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. The jets that he puts on and the way, like, he evades people like the way no one else does, I reckon. Like, I know I was talking about Rosie earlier and the way he evades. Warner, he doesn't have any right to evade the people that he's evading. It's like, I think you've described it before, Dano, as like a rugby player. That's literally it, man. Or like one of those running backs, Lamar Jackson, you know what I mean?
He's
Style
got
in the
like a
NFL.
low center
It's
of
crazy.
gravity, like incredibly fast feet. So
Yeah,
like as
strong
you're trying
hips.
to tackle him, his feet are moving faster than yours. Like I know it seems straightforward, but no, he's got crazy speed on the ball. You want to get into some tips, boys?
Yeah, so
Yeah, nah, it's fair.
All right. Thursday night. Why are they giving us the Bombers on a Thursday night? No one wants this.
Yeah, nah.
Come on, man.
That's
Bombers hosting the Power at Marvel.
To be honest,
I'm going to tip Essendon, man. I'm just going to go for it.
I'm just gonna say you're insane, and I'm tipping Port, bro.
It wouldn't.
Nah, I reckon they'll win this one, man. First of all, it's Marvel. They've already lost their first 2 games. Port are not that good.
I'm going Port.
I'm going Port, bro.
No, I tried, man. I tried.
There's
Good
no
on you.
like let the record show I'm considering Essendon. There's no records here.
Nah, that's just George
it's
being
Port.
like, I'm picking Essendon. So like,
It's a pod tip. Fair enough.
It is a pod
Pod
tip.
tip.
Yeah.
I actually need to make up some tips, so I don't know what I'll end up.
Well, what
tipping
about
in the end.
Blues v Dogs? Are you a chance to get your first win?
I think we are. I have no idea what I'm going to tip there. I feel like a real
Yeah.
50-50.
I'm gonna go Dogs.
Yeah, I'll go the Dogs as well. And I need to go because I did my tipping earlier. I need to log in.
I think I'm going to go Carlton. Not very confident.
Actually, Matt, while you're there, let's shout out who's leading the tipping comp
Yeah, no, go for
at the
it.
end. So next game will be Melbourne hosting the Suns at the G.
Suns, baby.
You think at the G away?
They've won that other game away. I reckon they're a different team.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm happy to go Gold Coast as well.
After what I saw from Melbourne, if Gold Coast shows up, they can beat them.
They can beat him in the middle. Suns can beat him in the
Yep.
middle. So
I'll back that tip. Saints, fresh off a win against the Tigers, surely they just go 2 in a row.
Yep.
At Marvel, Hawks in Lonnie against the Giants. Probably the most interesting game of the week.
I think it's interesting. Giants travel well no matter where they go, but obviously they've got the Tasmanian advantage with the Hawks.
Nah, Hawks for me.
Hawks for me, man.
I'll go Hawks too. Brisbane hosting Geelong at the Gabba. Now, I don't know what that means because the Lions a bit shaky this week at the Gabba, but
I'm pretty happy with.
Lions
Brizzy,
is a
man.
safe tip, man.
I've gone Geelong to bounce back.
I think it's very
That's
possible.
a very pod pick. 14% Geelong. That's interesting.
My
I'm going
rationale is Brisbane does have a few outs, and look, you have to take what happened this week as a bit of a warning. Like if they're not on, they can concede goals in a hurry, and Geelong can,
Brizzy. Yeah.
as we said, Geelong
So
can
can they.
kick goals in a hurry as
Yeah.
well. So
I think Tom Stewart's injury is not that bad. Hopefully Bailey Smith comes back. That helps them.
Yep.
I think Lions is clearly the safer pick, so I'll go them. But yeah, I could see it.
Crows hosting North.
Yeah.
We haven't won in Adelaide over. I don't think ever.
Ever,
Yeah,
never
yeah,
done.
nah. So look, I've actually I'm looking at my tips now, and I'm like, whoa, I tipped Adelaide. That feels wrong, but I think it's fair. Like it's going to be a fun game, man. Like I'm looking forward to watching that. But
What I will say is, I know we're just fresh off the win. I'm not scared. I don't think we'll get pants like St Kilda and the Bombers did.
yeah,
I
no,
don't.
agree.
My head is definitely saying Crows by anywhere from 0 to 5 goals, or like 1 to 5 goals. But I do think there's a chance. Like Crows have been red hot. Like if they're just inaccurate or they're not on, I think we can kick a winning score.
Yeah,
I always tip North when we're a half chance, so I'm going to go North. But I don't let the record show. My head's saying Adelaide. I'm not being ridiculous. Hopefully it's a good game though. Like it's a real. Hopefully it's not 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Maybe a half step back for the Roos.
yeah.
It'll be an interesting game. Look, Crows are the clear tip.
You
I
can't tip
think.
against them this week. I
But
don't
like
think.
they've done big numbers on teams that are kind of around probably where North is coming now. So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Is that another TV game for North?
Don't know. Is
I
it
think so. Sunday 3:20. I think that's the TV game.
prime time, baby?
Wow, mate, North getting that TV time, baby. There we go. Anyway, and the next game, West Coast versus Freo.
I
West Coast-
actually paused on this tip.
I would love a West Coast tip there, but 0-3 Freo.
I paused on it because what we said earlier, they did this exact fixture, similar time of the year last year, pants Freo.
They destroyed them.
And they just jumped Brisbane. Why couldn't they jump Freo?
Because they haven't. What is their team, man?
Exactly. We were talking about it
How can
earlier,
you, in
mate.
good conscience, tip this team?
Mate.
But I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
I
think
paused.
Freo's lost their first two games.
I'm
man.
going to tip
I'm with
Freo.
you, man.
I'm going to tip
Yeah.
Freo because I'm going north and I don't want to lose 2 tips. But I do think, I think it's a closer
It
consideration.
is one of those ones because it's the Perth Showdown or whatever they call it. It's fiery.
Yep.
So anything could happen. But
Interesting round. There's a couple nice games in there.
I think this is a make or break tip round. Like there's a lot of.
Yeah.
We weren't really confident about really any of those tips, were we?
Very few
Other
of
than
them.
the Tigers one.
Saints, Tigers. The rest of I mean, Adelaide North is a pretty easy tip
I think
for
so
most
as well.
people, but you never know. You never know.
All right, we'll give a shout out to the people leading on total tips. We have Angus S, the Armadale Demons, Huey S, Primetime Train 125, Angus S and Huey S, they must be brothers, and their sister Lana S.
The S's are dominating.
Yes, the S's are dominating, bro. The spenders. What's it called? So and
I'm like last.
yeah, and Xavier W, and Henry C. Big Crawford's team's name. And interesting, the next team, 6th. So the next, 14 tips for these guys. But Bilbo Baggers won.
Ooh.
Hey.
I don't know.
That is a Svenderakis.
That is a Svenderakis. We do know who Bill S is. So shout out Bill S, man.
He's,
I don't know.
he's a handy tipper, the
Mate,
kid.
he just chat GPTs it. I know him, man. That dude doesn't watch footy, man.
No, he does watch footy, man. He does.
Does he?
He's got expert knowledge, man.
Right.
His brother is a podcaster.
That is true. That is true. But I'm not.
And Bill doesn't get overawed by, I'm the type of guy that will go crazy and,
He's calm.
yeah, he'll just tip the normal tip, man. I'm more likely to tip West Coast and Freo type of thing,
He would just go standard.
Yeah, he's the normal person.
Nah,
Fair
that is very true. Anyway, thank you guys for getting this far into the pod. If you've gotten there, and we'll see you on the next video.
So yeah.
Go Roos.